Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into a truly chilling story, an unsolved mystery that really pulls you into the darker side of obsession and disappearance. It's the case of Yuni. Her story starts with so much promise, but it descends into this really perplexing void. Just questions left behind.
It's fascinating, isn't it? How quickly a life can just change.
Yeah.
And how these seemingly small details become, well, crucial pieces in a much bigger, much darker puzzle. You'll find yourself questioning every little thing.
Definitely. So let's start with Yuni herself. She was 29, from Namangju, South Korea. Bright, popular, ambitious. You might be surprised she first studied fine arts and statistics at Ewha Women's University, but her real passion, animals. She absolutely adored her two dogs, spent hours watching nature documentaries, visiting zoos, sanctuaries. This love for zoology, it led her to make a pretty brave decision at 25. She decided to become a vet. Her family, well, they weren't thrilled initially, thought it was maybe a waste of time, money at her age. They urged her to settle down. But Yuni, she was, an intelligent, modern woman, determined. So by 2006, she's just one semester away from graduating from John Buck National University's vet school. She supported herself by tutoring students, even her professor's kids sometimes. Okay, so this is where the story takes a dark turn. June 2nd, Yuni's walking home from tutoring, and these two men on a motorbike, they just snatch her handbag. Gone. Her wallet, ID, and really crucially, her cell phone. Witnesses apparently chased them, but they got away down some narrow alley.
That loss of the phone and ID right at the start, it's significant. Her main line of communication, gone. Her address, potentially out there, it leaves her vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. That same night, she tells her classmates she won't be reachable. She sounded really distressed, said something like, "Just thinking about those bastards makes me want to cry." And then she added, "The world can be such a scary place." Yeah. She really had no idea.
No idea at all.
Fast forward 3 days, June 5th. Yuni and her classmates, they finished their final internship. She felt she hadn't done well in her operation, but friends convinced her to come out anyway. They had a celebration plan with professors, started at a karaoke bar around 10 p.m. Reports say Yuni seemed in good spirits then.
Right. Seemed okay at first.
Later, they moved to a nearby pub, bigger group now, maybe 40 people. And sometime after 2 a.m., something changes. Yuni comes out of the bathroom looking really scared, according to witnesses, and just leaves. Quickly. Didn't say goodbye to anyone.
Just bolt out the door.
Yeah. A close classmate, this 27-year-old guy known as Kim, he notices her leaving in a hurry. He actually runs after her. He asks her what's wrong. And she reportedly tells him someone followed her into the toilet. But she didn't give any more details. Just that.
Someone followed her into the toilet. That's specific. And alarming.
Very. Now, Yuni lived alone in a small studio apartment, maybe 1.5 kilometers from the pub. Kim was concerned. He offered to carry her backpack and walk her home. Apparently, this was something they did sometimes. It wasn't unusual for them.
So he walks her back.
That's his account.
Yeah.
He says they reached this really dark alleyway near her place, and Yuni told him he didn't need to walk her right to the door. They said their goodbyes, and she walked off into the pitch-black alley alone.
Into the dark. Okay.
Kim said he felt uneasy, though, so after walking a little way, he turned back and watched her window. He claims he saw the lights turn on inside her apartment, so he figured, okay, she's safe, and he went home.
That's his story. Saw the lights, assumed she was fine. But again, it's just his word for this part. No other witnesses.
Exactly. Now, the next day, June 6th, was Memorial Day, a national holiday in South Korea. So initially, no one thought it was super weird not hearing from her.
Right, people might assume she's just sleeping and resting after the party.
But then June 7th comes. She misses classes. That was weird. She was known for being incredibly diligent. Her friend Minji went over to her apartment. No answer. Still couldn't reach her phone, obviously. Minji figured, okay, maybe she's just really tired. But when Yuni missed classes again on June 8th and missed other plans too, that's when serious worry set in. 4 classmates, including Minji and also Kim, went back to her apartment together.
This time they hear something different.
They hear her dogs barking inside. But still, no answer from Yuni at the door. It had a digital lock, needed a passcode. Minji didn't know it. They called Yuni's older sister. She didn't know it either.
Locked out. Dogs inside. Getting more concerning.
Very. So the classmates, they contact the police. The police then call the landlord to come and open the door. And what the investigators found inside, well, it was deeply disturbing. First, this awful, rancid smell. Dog urine and feces everywhere. Yuni's 2 little puppies were weak, clearly starving. The apartment was a mess. Scattered papers, clothing, looked like the dogs had been scavenging for anything to eat.
And this is the first huge red flag, isn't it, for anyone who knew Yuni, her love for those dogs, abandoning them like this. It just screams that something is terribly wrong. She wouldn't do that voluntarily.
Absolutely not. It immediately suggests she didn't leave by choice. Also inside, investigators noticed a dried flower bouquet. It used to be high up on the wall, now it was on the floor. And Yuni's backpack, the one from the party, that was on the floor too, which, confirms she definitely made it home that night.
Right, she got inside the apartment.
Inside the backpack, they found 2 syringes and a vial of animal anesthetic, taken from the university lab.
Okay, that's interesting. Anesthetic.
It is. But despite all this, the state of the dogs, the anesthetic the police initially didn't suspect foul play. They suggested maybe she just left voluntarily, needed some rest. They noted nothing seemed to be missing, no sign of forced entry on the door.
That initial assessment seems rushed, maybe. Given the dogs?
Her classmates certainly thought so. And her family confirmed she wasn't with them. They were adamant, abandoning her dogs, completely out of character. This wasn't the Yuni they knew. So 2 of the classmates, Minji and another named Bae, they weren't satisfied. They went and personally filed a missing persons report. Meanwhile, the other 2, Kim and the one known as A, they waited at the apartment for Yuni's parents to arrive. But the place was such a mess. They apparently felt bad, didn't want the parents to see it like that, didn't want to embarrass the family. So they made a critical mistake, a really critical one. They cleaned the apartment.
Oh, no.
Yep. Mopped the floors, threw out papers, washed stained blankets, clothes.
They essentially destroyed a potential crime scene. Wiped away who knows what kind of forensic evidence. Fingerprints, DNA, fibers.
Yeah.
Gone.
Exactly. It highlights that huge problem, well-intentioned actions by loved ones that end up hindering the investigation massively. Every speck of dust could tell a story.
And once it's cleaned, that story's often lost forever.
Adding to that, when Yuni's sister got there, she found a used cigarette butt on the veranda. She thought it might be Yuni's, and apparently didn't want her parents to know Yuni might have started smoking, so she threw it away.
Another piece of potential DNA evidence just tossed. It's heartbreaking how these small decisions compound.
It really is. Later that evening, Yuni's parents arrive, and her father, Lee Dong, he immediately notices 2 specific things missing. First, a hammer. One he'd personally given her. He knew she kept it in plain sight. Second, her old coffee table. It was distinctive. She used it for everything, ate all her meals there.
A hammer and a coffee table. Strange items to be missing.
Especially the table. One of Yuni's male friends had actually just fixed one of its legs like 16 hours before she was last seen, so she clearly had no plans to get rid of it.
So where do they go?
Mysteriously, her father later found the tabletop. It was shoved between 2 dumpsters outside the apartment building, hidden among other discarded furniture. But the metal legs, they'd been removed. The theory was maybe a homeless person took them for scrap.
But the tabletop being hidden like that.
Yuni's father had a grim theory. He feared the table was damaged during some kind of struggle, maybe covered in blood or other evidence. He worried his daughter's life might have ended right there in her apartment, perhaps even involving the hammer he'd given her.
A truly horrifying thought for a parent.
It wasn't until June 10th, days after she vanished, that a proper task force was finally put together. They went back to the apartment, of course. But because of Kim and A's cleaning efforts, nothing. No fingerprints, no DNA, no hair, no fibers. The scene was sterile.
So they had to rely on other methods. Interviews, legwork.
Right. They went door to door in the building. But no neighbors reported hearing anything unusual early on June 6th. Despite the walls apparently being quite thin, one female resident did mention being followed by a creepy-looking man a few days earlier, which raised the possibility, maybe Yuni was targeted by a similar stalker. Stalking is a known issue in Korea.
It's possible, but statistically, as you said, abductions are more often committed by someone the victim knows.
The task force started interviewing everyone from that party, all 40-plus attendees. Only Kim's story walking her home offered any kind of direct lead about her last known movements. He and 21 others took polygraph tests. They all apparently passed.
Though we should always be cautious about polygraph results. Their reliability is debatable, to say the least.
Definitely. Police searched all over the city, nearby mountains. Nothing turned up. No witnesses came forward. No forensic breakthroughs. It seems like a dead end.
Except for one disturbing find.
Yes. In the building right next to Yuni's, there was an empty apartment, unoccupied. And from its window, you had a clear, direct, unobstructed view straight into Yuni's studio apartment.
A perfect vantage point for watching someone.
When police checked out that empty apartment, they found empty cigarette packs and used tissues right by the window, positioned facing Yuni's place.
Someone had been there, watching.
They tried to get DNA, but couldn't extract anything usable from the tissues or cigarette packs.
Frustrating. Another potential lead that evaporated.
But then the investigation turned to her computer. And this is where things get really interesting and quite chilling. Cybercrime experts managed to recover some data logs. They showed someone accessed her desktop computer at 2:59 a.m. on June 6th.
Which is right around the time Kim said she would have gotten home.
Exactly. And this person opened Naver, the big Korean search engine, and typed in searches for sexual harassment, contact police, and 112.
112 being the emergency number in South Korea.
Correct. This whole browsing session lasted only 3 minutes. It ended abruptly at 3:02 a.m.
Wow. Okay, that timing. Searching for how to report sexual harassment, how to contact police, the emergency number, right after getting home, and it stops after just 3 minutes. That strongly suggests she was interrupted, that she wasn't alone in the apartment when she made those searches.
It really does. It paints a picture of someone in immediate distress, trying to get help, and then being prevented from doing so. Then the computer was manually switched off about an hour and 19 minutes later at 4:21 a.m. This was unusual, too. Friends said Yuni usually just left her computer running all the time.
So activity between roughly 3 a.m. and 4:21 a.m., ending with a manual shutdown.
But it gets even more disturbing. Experts later discovered that sometime between 2:15 p.m. and 5:21 p.m. on June 8th.
That's 2 days later, while the friends were there waiting for the parents.
Precisely. During that window, someone turned Yuni's desktop back on, and they deleted her entire chat history on Nadon, a popular messaging app. All the chat logs from the evening of June 4th right through to the afternoon.